she's on her way back from California. Yeah, she had some really nice pictures she sent. Yeah, this will all be at the end. This is all consent agenda. And then we'll go to treasurer's recommendations. All of this will be this last few pages. When I was president, I would always print one off, and I would highlight voting. I would highlight that and read exactly where I was. I hate to get lost. I know. I try to keep track here now. I'm really having problems because I look younger because I don't have the line. Like you get a little line. I try to pull people out. I said, Cynthia Walker, who retired, she's getting some sort of award, and so he's representing me on her.
I miss Joe.
What's that?
I said I miss Joe.
I did too.
I think this is going to end up flying off.
He and I stayed in contact.
Are we ready? I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mr. Kiffer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bedford? Here. Campbell? Mr. Fulton?
Here.
Mr. Grimm?
Here.
Mr. Violi?
Here. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is that correct order?
Looks like it. No, public comments, you go first.
I'm going to switch this around. On the screen, you're seeing public or approval of minutes first and then public comments. We're going to go right to public comments first.
Yeah. We have one public comment today, and that's Chrissy Mutz.
And Chrissy Motz, you know the routine, so I'm not going to read things, so come on up.
My name is Christine Moss. I live at 825 David Drive, Streetsboro, Ohio. And today I would like to just share the excellent news with you guys because Streetsboro officially beat Kent with Streetsboro had $534 and Kent has $428.
Yes, and thank you, Chrissy. I joined Chrissy and her gang and her group, wonderful group. Was it 2 weeks already? And we plunged into the warm waters of Lake Erie, led by Chrissy. And Chrissy raised thousands of dollars for the Special Olympics of Ohio. And because Chrissy's the captain of the team for Portage, that money that was raised through Christy and the team stays local. And so it was a wonderful event, and led by Chrissy, and the entire Special Olympics of Ohio was a special event that happened at Edgewater 2 weeks ago. I was very happy to be a part of it. It was very cold. The anticipation.
He said he was gonna do it again.
Right.
Yes, I did agree to do it again. So thank you. Thank you again.
How many years in a row is this?
This was in 13 this year, and for him it would be 7.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Congratulations, Chris.
Way to go.
thank you,
Awesome.
Chrissy.
Great job.
Thank you.
And now I would like to represent the Special Olympics pole punch chance back to Mr. Daba for having Streetsboro happen again.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Great job, Chrissy. We really appreciate everyone that doesn't know. Chrissy is a Streetsboro resident and graduate. And Chrissy, I think we've had this trophy for quite a few years in a row, haven't we? So,
You're keeping it.
so this was actually on my desk for the year because of COVID, but I would like to actually put this back into the high school trophy case so more people can see this. So congratulations, Chrissy. And Mr. Kiffer, congratulations.
Thank you. It was fun. My
So
pleasure.
one more round of applause for Chrissy.
Great job. Okay, we're going to move on to approval of minutes. Let's see here. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the minutes from February 10th, 2022 as submitted.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
Yes.
Mr. Violi?
Yes, motion carried. Moving on to reports, we will start off with, and I just want to say before we start off, welcome back, Mr. Dahlbaugh. We missed you, and we're glad that you're back in the seat. So congratulations. We're going to move on to superintendent's reports.
And I appreciate it, and I do want to thank a few people really quickly while I'm going to have our DEFRA team make their way up to the microphone, and while they're doing that, I would be remiss if I didn't thank, I know I'm going to miss a lot of people, so I'm going to keep my list short. My administrative team, they did a great job in my absence. Certainly Mrs. Deaver stepping in, that was a job that she never asked to do, and I don't know that she even wanted to do it, but she came in and did a great job. And Sue Stockard, my administrative assistant, really stepped it up as well. And then board, I really appreciate you guys giving me the time and the support to get better. I needed that. And I think I'm here today because you guys gave me that time off. So I appreciate everything that you guys did for me. So thank you. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Mrs. Kravitz, the principal at DEFRA Intermediate School, and they're going to present this month's Did You Know?
Thank you. So I have Missy Oyer, who's our 4-8 reading coach, literacy coach, and Brittany Valiso, who's our K-5 math coach with me tonight. So I'm going to introduce what we're talking about, but I'm going to let the two of them talk about the bulk of it because they do amazing work in our building, so I want them to get to share with you the role that they play in this. So what we're presenting about tonight is called Win Time. Over the years, each building has had different variations of this, whether it's called IE, intervention, no new instruction. It's a block of the day that basically is devoted to giving kids interventions or enrichment, things that they need aside from the core instruction so that they're continuing to grow. So we decided this year we were going to kind of re-envision it and rename it. So the reason it's called WIN, that stands for what I need. So we just felt that just the wording of it speaks more to what the purpose of it is. So we're meeting students where they are with the skills that they need to grow and continue to be successful. That's our number one goal in our district, is for every student to grow at least 1 year. So that this time allows us to provide students with additional things besides just core instructional tier 1 time. So the time is focused within kind of 3 buckets of instructional areas, which are math, literacy, and SEL, which is social emotional learning. One of the biggest things that is important about this time is that it's flexible grouping. So that means that we're always looking at data and using the knowledge we have about our students to adjust which group students go to. We adjust periodically throughout the year. You know, if a student's made a bunch of growth in their reading fluency skills that they've kind of tested out of, so to speak, the group that they've been in, we're going to move them then into a comprehension group for their reading because that's now their new need to continue to grow. So I'm going to let them go ahead and take over and talk about some of our benchmark assessments, and then a lot of the specifics that you'll see what students are actually doing during this time, so it's not so theoretical.
Hi, I'm Missy Warrior. I'm the literacy coach. And this is the kind of framework that we use, the decision framework based off of our benchmarks that are given 3 times a year. And this is the starting point where all students are given an assessment to see where their strengths and weaknesses lie within the standards so that we can personalize their instruction during that win time. And you'll notice there's 2 assessments for ELA because they assess very different things. Our MAP growth assesses how the student is comprehending language and vocabulary and text. And then if you'll notice from K to 5, we also give them an M-class assessment, which identifies if the students are able to pull the text off of the writing, if they're able to read and decode, and it really breaks things down. And we have various diagnostics that can also drill down to their critical need in those areas.
And then for math, we use MAP as well. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some things we use from our new curriculum bridges that we use for that grouping.
So once we've sat around as a team to decide what the students' critical needs are, where we can personalize their win time, we are able to break it down into where they are going to go. So, yeah.
So I put on here a couple examples of student schedules so that you could see like logistically what this looks like for a student. So we alternate weeks, so we have blue weeks and gold weeks. The majority of our students go to a literacy-based group on, let's say, blue week, and then a math group on gold week, or vice versa. But we do have some students who go, like student C that you see up there. We have students who go to this literacy intervention program that Missy will tell you more about on blue and gold weeks, because we've determined that that's a really critical need for that student. If we're not addressing the literacy needs that they have, they're not going to be successful anywhere else in their day. So I just wanted to give you a couple examples of combinations of things that our students are doing to show that it really is geared towards each student and their particular needs.
So with that being said, once we've determined what their needs are, they have 4 areas that they could be, 4 groups that they could be given. We have a writing group that develops writing skills. We have a comprehension group that develops their comprehension skills. And then the rewards group that Mrs. Kravitz just talked about is, it stands for Reading Excellence, Word Attack, and Rate Development Strategies. I'll explain that a little bit more in a second. And then there's also opportunities for individualized instruction based on needs that have been assessed through other areas. So this is an example of a couple of the students doing some different writing activities. A lot of it is done through creative writing, responding to reading, responding to picture books. Even the kids, even in 4th and 5th grade, love to have their teachers read them picture books. We try to find higher level ones to work with. And so this is really an area where they can really focus on how to get that sentence structure and paragraph structure down in a more creative way than sometimes a classroom allows. And then for the comprehension, the same thing. Just because it's their comprehension is the focus does not mean that they're not writing as well. So you'll see here, they're responding to their reading, they're taking time to annotate and ask questions and do critical thinking during this time and working in a smaller group. So it really allows them to have that conversation. And then rewards is one of our activity or interventions that has been going very well, and we've actually implemented more groups based off of need. And it really works with the child on not only advanced decoding, but learning morphology, which is those prefixes, suffixes, which leads into vocabulary influency. So it's really a whole language, it encompasses everything that is needed. And then also individualized instruction. If we have drilled down to the point where we are doing diagnostics on the student, then they might be even in a smaller group setting where there's 3 to 5 students and they're working on things that are individualized directly towards them. And once again, these are always flexible, and if the whole group is changing, then the instruction can change.
So for math, we basically have the same thing. So different groups, we have individualized instruction, supplemental support, core support, and then more of a project-based learning. You will be able to see a couple examples of our Bridges curriculum embedded in these pictures as well that we're using not only during Tier 1 instruction, but also Tier 2. So this is some students working with Mr. Harper, and you can see he's working with a small group. They're comparing fractions using visual models, and then in the background, the students are actually working on a Bridges matching game with comparing fractions, so there is a lot going on in just that one picture. And then with Mr. Morris and Ms. Baker, they are using the Bridges Intervention Kit as well. And I probably should have said that every 4th grade group is working on fractions right now because the student or the teachers identified a need for that. So this group is working with the Intervention Kit as well that provides students with resources for them to help with some unfinished learning that they've maybe had the past few years. And then Mr. Collier and in Mrs. Ondash's room, they are working on some core support with some skills that maybe they just need some more time practicing. And then Mr. Bush, our building aide, is working with some students on our workplaces that is from the Bridges curriculum. And then you'll see Mrs. Valeni here working with a project-based group, working on some higher level thinking skills and some problem solving the day that I decided to pop in unannounced.
We also have some students doing other types of extension. So a lot of our students in the pictures you see here have been identified for gifted services, and so they're receiving some of those specific things that are in the written education plans during the WIN time as well as other students who've just been identified as needing a lot more extension. So they get that with Mrs. Payton, who also is our technology teacher, but has her gifted certification, and Mrs. Guessford, who is our art teacher, who also has her gifted certification. So they do a really nice job planning things together because they don't see the kids every single day, but they plan out the scope of what they're going to work on. And then lastly, we have students also, like I said, receiving some SEL supports during that time, and just a couple examples here. Mrs. Shendy, our school counselor, got trained in a program called ROCKS, which stands for Ruling Our Experiences. And we got a lot of support from the district on making this happen because it's a pretty intensive training Mrs. Shendy went to. It's a it's like a 20-week program that the girls are engaging in with lessons. And it's meant to be like a mentorship type program. So we've got girls in there who teachers identified who could use maybe some more confidence building, navigating a lot of those things we know kids start to go through at 5th grade age. Mrs. Simmons from the high school does ROCKS with high school girls, so she brought this to us as an idea we could start with our 5th graders. And Mrs. Shendy also does some groups with students who maybe have identified through a survey we sent out to students that they'd like some additional help with managing their anxiety, or they'd like help regulating, emotional things. Like our students identified, I get really angry sometimes and I want some more help with how can I manage that better. So she runs some groups like that also meet once a week during WIN. That was a lot of information. It's something, we're really passionate about it. We're really excited for the growth we're seeing with our students during this time. So do you have any questions for us?
I like this. I like that you're kind of customizing this for each kind of kid in their own group. So I think that's fantastic. I obviously have a 4th grader and we are having the best experience at Dever. So thank you and the staff so much for all you're doing.
Awesome. Glad he's enjoying his year.
He is.
All right, thank you.
Michelle. Thank you, team. That was excellent. All right, next, I would like to invite Mr. Dawson to come up to the podium and his students. And while he's doing that, a lot of people don't know that March is actually Music in Our Schools Month. And so I will not take credit for this. I'll give this to Mrs. Devers. Decided that it would be great to be able to invite some of our music scholars to the board meeting and show us how we celebrate music in our schools. So, Mr. Dawson.
All right. So, as Mr. Dalbaugh said, March is Music in Our Schools Month. The purpose of Music in Our Schools Month is to raise awareness of the importance and lasting positive impact of music education on the academic, personal, and professional growth of all of our students. Every year they have a theme. This year's theme is Music, the Sound of My Heart. which is meant to help illuminate the social emotional benefits and the joy that music brings to our communities. So I thought it would be pertinent to take this month and this time to recognize some of our outstanding students for some of the awesome stuff they're doing in our program. In February, we had 9 students and an ensemble go to Firestone High School and participate in OMEA's solo and ensemble contest. I'm going to be recognizing those students as well as 2 at the end who were chosen for an even bigger honor. But first, I'm going to recognize those that received a rating of excellent, which is the second highest rating that you can receive. So as you hear your name, if you would please come up here to be recognized. Rebecca Sears, Tyler Paul, Corey Tootin, and Cody Dupree. So it doesn't look like time made it, but that's okay. All right. Additionally, I'm going to have 2 of our groups. So congratulations. You guys already got yours. That's okay. All right. I'm going to have Cody stay up here. We're going to have 2 very, very quick performances. So Cody's going to do a very short portion of his very, very long, like 8-minute Mozart solo. I promise it's not the whole thing. He's just doing the cadenza, so it'll be fairly quick. But Cody's going to perform, and then I will recognize the superior ratings.
If I jumped on there, I'd probably break my leg. For sure. All right, so the highest rating that OMEA bestows upon its musicians is the superior rating, of which we had a few students that earned that as well. So I will welcome them up to the stage. Haley Carmen, Cody Dupree can stay here, Elizabeth Slaughter, Jordan Lytle, and then the saxophone quartet, which is behind me, of Delaney Maglianico, Anna Spence, Aiden Sadowski, and Twanisha McLaughlin. You guys can come up. So congratulations again. And finally, we're going to have the saxophone quartet play very quickly. They are playing, I'm guessing, a song that many of you will recognize. It's called The Can Can.
right, and the final two recognitions that I'm going to do, I'm going to invite the two of them up, Caitlin Wegner and Cody Dupree again. Every year, the American School Band Directors Association hosts a national honor band. They change the place that this honor band takes place every year. Last year it was in Florida, this year it's in Denver. And students from across the nation can apply for this, and the director doesn't have to be a member of ASBDI, I just happen to be. But we were fortunate, Caitlin was chosen as an alternate, and Cody will be going to Denver in June to participate in the ASBDA All-National Honor Band, which is a very, very high honor, and we're very, very excited that the two of them were chosen. So I wanted to take a moment to recognize them as well. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoy Music in Our Schools Month.
Awesome.
Great job.
Congrats.
I think that this shows we certainly have some very talented students in our schools, especially in the arts. A lot of times we don't remember to honor our arts. I need to do a better job of that. But students and Mr. Dawson, well done. That was just absolutely amazing. So nice job. And Mr. Violi, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Dahlbaugh. We're going to move on to the treasurer's report.
Hello, everybody. It's hard to follow Mr. Dawson and his wonderful students, so I will try my best. And I will be quick for you guys today. I know that sometimes everybody's really interested in the world of school finance, and so this is my brief report today. So the normal general fund reporting, then we're going to talk about the Financial Integrity Committee, and then invite Mr. Perry Alexandritis. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. So we're in March, but we're reporting on the February general fund activity, and our current cash balance is $11.1 million. We received 4 property tax advances in February at total about $7.4 million, with our expenditures around $2 million. So it does seem like there is a monthly surplus of $5.5 million, but please remember that in February, we receive about 19% of all of our revenues in 1 month. And so the idea is that for the last 4 or 5 months, we deficit spend, and then we receive those property tax advances. Really, we receive most of our revenue in 3 different months throughout the year. And the disbursements are pretty normal through various healthcare employer expenses, biweekly payrolls, our vendor service agreements, and our utilities. I am excited to announce, I did mention this at the organizational meeting, and so I am kind of rolling it out at our first, trying to gain some interest. So if anybody knows any businessmen or businesswomen in the community that would be interested in learning more about school finance. I understand that school finance can be confusing. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of unknowns, and a lot of sometimes information that's just not correct out there. It's not just Streetsboro. It's in general. And this is rolling out this committee to just really provide a strategic oversight over the budget, the financial activities, and support sustainability, transparency, and really equity and communications when it comes to the finances of the district. And this is not skirting any responsibilities that I have, but it's really providing information out to the community members. It's a finance committee. And I know that in the past, the district has had that, and I'm trying to kick that up again. And so on my website, on our website for the district finance part, there is a Financial Integrity Committee Google form, and kind of explains it. And it's really just an interest. And there's not that much of a time commitment, meeting 3 times per year. But it's really, again, getting the word out of how the district is doing financially. And every year, of the 2 times a year that I do my 5-year forecast, I'm always looking at the past performance of the district, the current performance of the district, to ensure the sustainable financial wealth of the district and integrity going forward. And then lastly, I'm going to invite Mr. Perry Alexandritis up again. I apologize. And then also team members of the treasurer's staff. That's really the nuts and bolts and really the day-to-day and operations that really get everything rolling. And it's not me. It's not Kyle Kiffer. It's really the amazing team that we have in the treasurer's department. So come on up. These wonderful women, Karen Bensey, who's our HR and payroll supervisor. Linda Shearcourt, not with us today, but she's our wonderful assistant treasurer. Sherry Bradford is our fiscal clerk that really does all the accounts payable and, to be honest, is really the glue of our department. Marlene Speck helps out with various everything, various reportings through payroll and other just special projects sometimes. And then we also have Elena Links. She doubles as operations admin assistant, but also helps out Karen on our biweekly payroll. So, Perry?
Okay.
Come on.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I need the microphone, but I guess I'll use it anyway. I've done a decent amount of public speaking. For some reason, speaking into a microphone makes me nervous. But if I shout at you like this, I'm perfectly fine. I don't know what it is. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Perry Alexandritis. I'm the East Regional Liaison with State Auditor Keith Faber's office. This is probably my favorite part of the job, right? Spotlighting good local government that is promoting fiscal stewardship and really great oversight over your tax dollars. That's what we do at the State Auditor's office. So I'm here on behalf of State Auditor Keith Faber. Now, what does the Auditor of State Award mean? Well, it means a lot of things. No issues with timeliness, findings for recovery, public records, public meetings, significant deficiencies, material weaknesses, no issues whatsoever. But that's an Auditor of State Award. What Streetsboro City Schools has earned is the Auditor of State Award with distinction. So to put this in perspective, of the roughly 6,000 governmental entities across the state of Ohio that take tax dollars, about 10% or so, fewer than 10%, are even eligible for the Auditor of State Award. Fewer than 6% out of 6,000 are eligible for the Auditor of State Award with distinction. So that gives you an idea of the level of integrity in reporting and the threshold that you have to meet. It's pretty substantial. And you guys have done that many years in a row now. So this doesn't just take one person, it takes a team. Every employee in the district working together and taking this seriously, taking your taxpayer dollars seriously. So I'd like to thank the superintendent, the school board, the treasurer's team here, and especially your treasurer, Kyle Kiffer, for his leadership, his professionalism, his integrity, and his commitment to fiscal stewardship. So on behalf of State Auditor Keith Faber and the people of the state of Ohio, I'd like to present you guys with this award here.
Cool. Hey, thanks, man. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Can we get a picture? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Let me take it? Oh.
Do you want to be a part of it? Yeah.
I'm not going to try to take a selfie. So
Yeah. Thanks, Barry.
I'm just going to pop in the middle of you guys.
Okay, got it.
Awesome. Did you get my good side?
I think so.
Thanks,
you
man.
so much.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
Thank you. Thank you. And lastly, what we saw from DEFR, what we saw from the music, the wonderful music in the high school, what we do in the treasurer's office, we really truly believe that we indirectly help the next generation of students by supporting our wonderful staff, teachers, staff, administrators of the district. So thank you. I can't forget Mr. Scarsapino as well, who had the position before me, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keffer. Moving on to Mr. Scarsapino, our Chief Business Officer's report. I believe it's a little lengthy tonight.
Yeah, we got a lot going on, but first I'd like to thank the wonderful Treasury Department. I am very, very proud of that team. That's 3 years in a row, 3 Auditor of State with Distinction Awards, 3 GFOA awards, so keep it up. Awesome job. I know those don't come easy, so celebrate them. Okay, in operations, we got a lot going on, so we're going to try to be brief, but I can't promise that that's going to happen. We're ramping up some projects. We got some summer projects on the horizon, so the next couple months we'll have probably a busy agenda for the Board of Education as we're planning and trying to improve all operations in the school district. So tonight we're going to start with a Safe Routes to School project that we are asked by Streetsboro City to help participate in. Andreas has been the lead on that, so I'm going to let him take over the presentation for this portion.
We were contacted by the city to assist in their efforts to secure some grant funding or funding from ODOT and from the state in order to improve sidewalks mainly and sort of walkways to and from school districts. The project only contains K-8, so it's limited to K-8, and so in this case it was focused on providing a sidewalk down Winsick Road, which is one of the main roads coming into the district, connecting it to the sidewalks on 303, and kind of improving the ability for kids to walk to and from school. Collaborative effort. Our role thus far has been to provide data. ODOT asked the district to provide, how many students do we have, how many ride buses, how many ride cars, how many walk to school. That data was pretty easy because we do a good job collecting the T1 data for school ridership on our buses, and then it's just a matter of, deducing sort of here's how many kids ride to school, here's how many kids go to school total, and kind of do some subtraction. Why creates that network between sidewalks and Streetsboro? Currently, there is no sidewalk to any of our school buildings from a main road. So we do have some sidewalks on main campus, there's sidewalks around this building, but they don't really connect to anything to be able to walk. The expected start date for that project would be sometime in 2024, so this is far off. One of our questions to the city was, how will this impact our district? They're planning on putting sidewalk also on the south end of Anna Lane in front of what is today the middle school. The last time around this project, that building was the high school, and so it was not part of the project because it was not a K-8 building. So that is why there's kind of sidewalk in front of the football field at the middle school, but there's no sidewalk in front of what is today the middle school. So we're hoping to do some of that. And they're going to look at all of the particulars, the stormwater, the drain, and funding is first, then the project, so it's a couple of years out.
So we had some questions in regards to that, obviously, and we asked them, and then we met with our legal team because a resolution was provided to us, and we wanted a little more say than what was in that resolution. So we had a separate resolution drafted for the Board of Education tonight to pass that will suffice for their deadlines and timelines in order to get the funding for the project. So what's in that resolution tonight, the big items that I want you to know about, is that in Section 2, it is written that the board's willingness to work in conjunction with the LPA on the project based on the assurances that the LPA will minimize the impact on all school traffic, coordinate with the board regarding any impact on school traffic, allow the board to provide input into the design and project, and will enter into the necessary work agreements with the board before construction of the project begins. So what we don't want is just like, oh, surprise, we're here to put in sidewalks, and it's the second week of school, and we have buses and car traffic and issues like that. So that was very important for us to pass something that gives us that ability, because it's a big deal. It'd be great to have done, and it would be great if it could be done in the summertime, but I can't guarantee that right now because we know very little. So we're at least going to try to pass a resolution with the parameters that favors the district in regards to the impact on school traffic and school grounds. So that is what we're asking this evening to be passed in conjunction with the city and ODOT working together to try and get some sidewalks in the city. Anything else on that,
No,
Andreas?
just to point out that it is a city project.
Correct.
It does not bind the school district for funding to fund any of these projects.
Okay. Is there any questions about that before we move on? Okay. The next item we'll be asking you to vote on tonight is the Henry Deffer HVAC refresh. So Henry Deffer was built in 2002. It's our oldest functioning school building. I believe the Honeywell master control system that's in there came with the building. The Honeywell system is proprietary software, meaning nobody could get into that system. None of our vendors are able to access that master controller. Well, that master controller has decided it's going to go night-night and not come back. And we have no way to revive it. We tried to do some interesting things with Gardner in order to revive it. They were testing something at Mayfield School Districts that had a similar proprietary software, but it didn't work. So the only way to fix it is to put in an entire new master controller. What we did was we worked with our vendor, Gardner, who it does all of the maintenance on our HVAC systems, and we asked them to provide us with a non-proprietary solution, meaning if we ever go with a different vendor, they will still have open access to that, so we won't be locked in to a certain system. That system is the Niagara system, and what it's going to provide is control options for our heat and cooling. What it's going to do is tie in the chiller. Right now, the chiller is not even tied into the master controller. It's completely separate. It's going to put it all on one for our maintenance team so they can help control that building. The other bonus is when you do the non-proprietary software in the Niagara system, it's going to help us get to that level where we can utilize Gardner's applied science, and they can start putting the sensors in and monitoring our system 24/7 in their command center, so that we would get a text message. Well, specifically, Dave Clark would get a text message if an air handler unit is malfunctioning or if we have a damper that's not closing properly. What that gives us the ability to do is solve a problem before it becomes a bigger problem. It's not going to solve everything, but it's at least going to help us. So we're going to try to get there this spring. What Gardner is willing to do is say, hey, we'll work second shift and some weekends if that is what works best for the school district, and it does. So we're still working on timelines with them. The goal is second shift, and they'll complete it within 60 days of us signing the contract. However, if we want to tell them, hey, the summertime is going to be the better option, we can, but we'd like to have this in while the school year is still going on, so we have control of that system the proper way, and then could see how it's working before next school year. So the goal is we're going to work with them to have minimal impact in the classroom at Henry Deffer. And this, again, just kind of goes with the theme this year that you've kind of seen. We're really investing our dollars in Henry Deffer and showing that building a little TLC and getting it up to speed. So that is what our plan is with Deffer. We are hiring them through the Ohio Schools Council resolution this evening. The design and build, we are an Ohio School Council district, and that comes with certain perks and certain pricing. And it made sense to work with Gardner because they are our current vendor for maintenance on that, and we have a very good relationship there. So we would like to continue doing business with them. Moving on. The board office HVAC refresh. So the board office has had some heating and cooling issues. When Andreas was over there, he ran a space heater for quite some time to stay warm. So we're going to try and do some work there. Some of the quotes that we received were astronomical. Some of the quotes we received were non-existent because they didn't have the workforce. So this one took us about 8 months to get all the pieces together to figure out what we were going to do. What that looks like there is the furnaces and the AC unit will be replaced, and there will be all new ductwork ran throughout that building. It's very old, it's inefficient right now, it's not functioning properly. Mike's office might be 150 degrees, and then Pam Beach down the hall's office might be below 20. So we need to do something there to keep people comfortable. What that means is we'll close the board office down for at least 1 week in the summertime, and we'll move some of those people to the annex for the time being. And we might do a little TLC while we're over there. We're still working out the details with Mr. Dalbaugh. And the vendor will provide all the labor, all the materials, This vendor is Bernard's, and we follow the proper purchasing procedure to hire them. Bernard's just did some work for us at the Central Services Garage, so we were pleased with their work, and they've become a pretty good vendor of ours, so we feel confident in their ability to complete the job and have it done efficiently and effectively. That'll be another item we're asking for your vote this evening. Moving on.
And I wanted to point out the difference between what we're doing at Deffer, which is a commercial building, where there's lots of moving parts, moving air, kind of controlling for outside air temperature, inside air temperature, much larger building. That's a commercial setting. The HVAC functions very differently. The board office is much more like a residential building, and we're going to move into a furnace that's 96 plus, 97 plus % efficient, two-stage burner, something you would find in a modern home, and it should be able to service that building proficiently. And the temperature gauge, probably not 60 degree different, but I would say a good 15, 20 degrees sometimes, and that's a big deal if you're trying to get some work done.
And then we have a few additional items as well. One is we'd like to continue our relationship with Turfscape on field maintenance, getting that fertilizer down on our ball fields, our baseball and softball fields, 2 spring applications, a summer application, continue the aeration, overseeding, the edging, and all of those items to protect our investment and keep those fields looking outstanding for our spring sports teams. So that is on the agenda this evening as well. We also have been working with our athletic department to do some floor maintenance and refinishing of our gymnasium floors at the middle school and the high school. The ask was that happen over the week of July 4th. Interfinish is the company that has been doing it, and our athletic department has been pleased with their work. So we figured we would continue on a 1-year contract with them to see if we feel the same way on that product. So that is going to be scheduled the week of July 4th. And then lastly, Mr. Violi's favorite topic, the digital sign. So I was able to talk with John at the city.
So we're stealing his thunder.
What's that?
We're stealing his thunder.
Yes. And so we talked at the state of the city a little bit. I had sent an email out asking if there was any permits that we needed to apply for so that we were prepared when the digital sign, if it goes live, the ordinance, so we could be prepared. At this time, there are no permits. They are still working on it. We'll have some more information to come. I also asked him at that meeting maybe if there was the opportunity for myself, Mr. Violi, and Mr. Johansson to meet with him and potentially the Mayor Braska if he'd like, just to kind of discuss some things so that we have a good grip on what we can do so we're prepared if and when that moment comes. So I figured I would not have to have you provide that in old business this evening, because I proactively were trying to help you with that. So that is the update on the digital sign.
I appreciate you saving me the words that come out during old business. So, we just need to do with the city to work with them to get it done.
Absolutely. We have a good relationship there, so we'll continue to work with them, and any way we can aid that process along, we will.
But thank you for following up.
Not a problem.
Hey, CJ, is the middle school floor done every year?
So we did not do the floors last year,
Okay.
mainly because there was not a lot of use done
Okay.
on them because we were digital. There was all kinds of different things going on. So last summer we did not.
Okay.
This
Makes sense.
year we're going to do it. We're going to see how it looks, how it works, evaluate it. Because there's 2 different things that can be done. They can just kind of do a deep clean and refinish, and then there's the sanding of the floors as well. From my knowledge on floor care, if you sand too much, you eventually lose the floor and put it in an entire new floor. So there's a fine balance there. So we're going to work with the vendors and figure out what that fine balance is. But we do want to get them redone. This year it's going to be the deep cleaning, and then they're going to put across the new shellac.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Scarsapino. That was fairly quick.
We done with
Appreciate it.
slides, Mr. Violi?
I
We
think
don't?
so.
Okay.
We're going to move on to board reports. And Mrs. Bedford.
The Tax Incentive Review Council is going to be happening actually the week of spring break, I think the 23rd or 24th. I won't be able to attend that, but I know other members here of the board will. So that's the only update I have on that. And then for athletics, we have a lengthy one, probably not as lengthy as CJ's, but
Never be as lengthy as CJ's.
I just got a text message about how long my report was. 14 minutes and 24 seconds.
I will keep mine way under that. So we have a lot of good things going on in this district around sports. So first, let's start with girls basketball. 18 wins on the season. They set a school record. So congratulations to those awesome girls. 6 seniors that are leaving. Great job. They were in sectionals. They were the sectionals champions. So I wanted to make sure I put that up there. And then Naomi was Tri-County Underclassmen Player of the Year, and also first team all-conference, so good for her. I would also like to add our 8th grade, this is a selfish plug on my part, the 8th grade girls basketball program were the champions of the MAC, so super proud of our coaches and for the 8th grade girls. The boys basketball program finished with 17-7 overall record and 13-1 in the league. And let me see if there's some highlights here. Senior Devin Reese finished with 12,003 career points. 1,203 career points. That would have been a lot. He was named Player of the Year for the MAC and also chosen as Greater Akron Basketball Coach Association All-Star. So congratulations. And I hope I don't butcher his last name. Bryce Becchio, I think. Becchio. Okay, I'll get it right one of these times. Was named first team all-conference. And then, of course, Coach Marcini was voted Coach of the Year in the MAC. So congratulations. What a great group of boys. Wrestling. 10 wrestlers made it to districts at Norway. Junior Devin Passe, maybe? See if I get that right, was the district champion, and Cohen Climac placed 4th. So both will represent Streetsboro on the state championship in Columbus on Friday and Saturday. So congratulations. And bowling, senior Bradley Stevens, there was an easy last name for me, was Player of the Year in the MAC. So congratulations to them. And then it looks like we're going to be having 2022 Athletic Hall of Fame inductees. We've got 4 students and 2 coaches. And Emma Flick and Ella Devers were selected high school All-Americans by the United Soccer Coach Association. So congratulations to all them. And then one thing I wanted to point out, because I'm involved with this group as a coach for our youth, I wanted to thank CJ, Andreas, and Elena Links, I don't think she's here. So our youth program was able to get back in our buildings this year for basketball, and you just would not believe how much they needed it. So I just wanted to also say thank you to the 3 of you for working with us to get in there. So it just has been amazing. So thank you so much. And I want you to know that this program also donates back. So we're not just asking for gym time, even though it's so valuable and we're so appreciative. Scott Clark and Ron Estes, they run this, and they've just done a fantastic job. So they actually ordered stamped basketballs that say Streetsboro on them, and they've donated them to the program, 3 for the girls and 3 for the boys, and that's around $228. And then they also purchased shirts. I know for like Coach Singer had shirts made for the middle school with the players. Our youth all had shirts on for when they walked across for youth night for both the boys and girls. So that was, let me see, about $175. And I know that they donate other things on top of their time. So I know it can be a pain sometimes working to get those things set up, but we appreciate you. We appreciate the group that does this, and thank you from the boys and girls.
You're welcome. It was our pleasure. Elena does a great job with the schedule, and that master scheduling system that Andreas has set up is phenomenal, and it helps us keep everything under control, know who's there, be able to provide time, and then allow the custodians to know who's coming in the building. So,
yeah, and our custodians were great.
That team's been great to work with. They've informed us, the youth basketball, when they were needing gym time, when they were having games, all of that good stuff. So thank you for that recognition. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mrs. Befford. Moving on to Mr. Fulton.
Governor Mike DeWine has signed into the law, Senate Bill 181. The bill establishes restrictions and policies that prevent students from wearing religious apparel, competing or participating in interscholastic athletics or extracurricular activities. The bill also permits certain officials to limit the wearing of religious apparel if a legitimate danger to participation is identified, but requires an administrator or official to offer all reasonable accommodations. Additionally, the bill provides civil immunity for schools and school districts, among others. Also, the academics, I haven't done anything with it at this point in time, but I hope to be involved with it in the future. I'll talk to the administrative team what my function would be with that committee. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you,
Except
Mr.
I would like to thank CJ and Andreas for taking me around visit. It's the first time I've done anything in Streetsboro. I've lived for 20 years and I've never entered their buildings. But I appreciate your welcome. It was appreciated, and I hope that I can do a good job for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fulton. Mr. Grimm.
Thank you. For fiscal integrity, I'd just like to say congratulations again to Kyle and the staff over at the Treasurer's Office. We've been very blessed in this district to have some great treasurers with us for the last few years especially, and really stepping up their game and getting awards that are very hard to get. So again, congratulations to everybody. It shows that this school district is good stewards of the dollars from the taxpayers, and it just shows how everything, all the different teams around the district have to work together in order to educate our students. So everybody has a role in that. Thank you. So moving on to other things here in the school district. If you were at the Cavs game at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse March 2nd, you got to see the awesome Streetsboro Middle School Choir sing the national anthem. That was awesome. If you wouldn't have said that it was from Streetsboro and just blindfolded people to be in there, you wouldn't have known who they were. You would think it was some professional organization in there singing. They did great. Our 7th and 8th grade band members will have an opportunity to participate in the OMEA Solo and Ensemble Contest Saturday, April 9th. This will take place at Stanton Middle School in Kent. Good luck to all those students participating. On Monday, March 21st at 7 p.m., the College of Worcester Scott Symphonic Band, Pipe Band, and Highland Dancers will be here at Streetsboro, the Performing Arts Center, for a performance on their spring tour. The concert is free and open to the public. High school band director Brett Dawson, who was here earlier, invites the public to make a night of it, go out to eat, dress up a little bit, and come on out to an awesome concert. So we're looking forward to that. On March 31st, Mr. Dawson has a virtual meeting between the high school band and a member of Pershing's own Army Band set up. The U.S. Army Band Pershing's Own was formed January 25th, 1922 by order of General John J. Pershing. General Pershing believed that bands played a vital role in troop morale and efficiency, and was convinced that America needed a premier band to surpass those in Europe. During their virtual meeting, the guest band member will be Master Sergeant Lee LaFosse, who joined Pershing's own Army Band in 2007. The Master Sergeant is the education coordinator for Pershing's Own, and she will speak about her path to the band, auditioning, preparing, practicing, and also fielding some questions and answers, and also giving the band some feedback on a section of a piece that they are working on. And we thank the Master Sergeant for her service to our country and also for the time that she's going to spend with our students. During his short time here so far, Mr. Dawson has continually provided our band students with great opportunities, both inside and outside of the school district. It is certainly noticed and appreciated, and I just want to say thank you to Mr. Dawson and to Mrs. Logan, who's also part of our high school band, but also the band director at the middle school, for all that they continue to do for our students. And as we get closer to the fall 22 marching band season, anticipation will continue to grow for the first ever Streetsboro Band Show. The date has not been publicly announced, but I did see a little tidbit out there about it. The band boosters are sending out invitations to area bands, and they are working with students to come up with a name for the show. They will also be designing t-shirts, and there will be concessions open on both sides of the field during the band show. So as soon as we have a date for that, we will let you know. If you've never been to a band show, go to one. It's awesome, and it's going to be even great here in our own stadium to see all of the students from different school districts out there. playing their music, marching, and seeing how everybody does things differently is just awesome. I spent about 10 years in the band program with my own students, and those students put a lot of work into their program. So we'll definitely let you know when that is coming up. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Just real quick, with Maplewood Career Center, I sent out everybody the notes from the last meeting that we had. I would like to highlight a couple things that they're doing in Maplewood. Last meeting, we had a featured program where the board got to visit the automotive repair classroom that they had. And I thought it was interesting because the instructor that was there did not have any of the students in the classroom in the evening when we had our meeting, and the reason was that they're all working. Every one of the kids that are in that program have jobs, and I just wanted to highlight that any kid that goes to that building that wants to get into a career outside of high school will actually have a very good chance of having a well-paid job by going to Maplewood and participating in the programs there. The other one was and I send it out to the board also, the menu for the Maple Leaf. And we have a group of people in here tonight that usually a little bit more than what we normally have, so I thought I'd mention if you have a chance to go out in the afternoon during school session, the Maple Leaf has some wonderful meals that they prepare there, and it's very inexpensive, and I guarantee you will enjoy what you eat there.
I will
And that's
back
put on by
that
the
up.
Culinary Arts.
I have been there. It's delicious.
And that's all I have to report on, so we can move on to the consent agenda. And on the consent agenda, I would like to pull off item J and vote on that separately. And if we could go to, as recommended, the Board of Education approve consent agenda items B through I.
Motion to approve?
A motion.
Motion.
We have a second? We have a first and a second. Any discussion? I do want to call out on the donations that we had quite a few donations this year. There are two donations I would like to just call out. Martin Lishing donated $5,000 in memory of his son Caleb, and that is going to the Deaf or Intermediate for help programs and needs of special needs children. And Mr. Bean is in here once a year. He donated $2,000 to the Educational Foundation for the LGBTQIA scholarship funds. So I just wanted to call those two out, and if there's any other discussion. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
Yes.
Mr. Violi?
Yes, motion carried. Go to item hiring of personnel. As recommended, the Board of Education approve the hiring of the following contingent upon all certification licensure requirements being met.
Motion to approve?
I'll second. We have a first and a second. I know there's some questions.
Yes, this is just for my education. I was just curious around the sports hiring, since I did see today that there are multiple positions open, how that, and I don't know, Mr. Dauba, if this is for you or something I need to take offline with Mr. TVPA, just what that process looks like, if we have a matrix around that, just from my education as a new board member.
I would encourage you to talk to Mr. TV, Paul, but I can't give you my perception or my answer to that
Sure.
question. The process, as far as I can't drill down into the specifics, but we do post these, and then we have to interview anyone that's internal, and then that goes to the external side. I do know that none of these are additional coaches. I don't know if
Correct,
that was a
right.
question
Nope.
or not, but I did want to say that. And when you say a matrix, do you mean as far as the process goes? For
Yeah, so
how-
do we have, I'm just curious if we have a panel of people that interview for athletics, if it's just a one-off and is done by Mr. TVPA, how that kind of, just for it's just my own education, just to understand how that might roll.
I'm
here.
going to ask that either you ask me to go do that, or you can contact
Okay,
Mr.
no problem.
TVPA, because I think I know the answer, but what I don't want to do is give the wrong answer.
Perfect,
So,
okay.
But I would be happy to find that, or you're welcome.
Okay.
The extra duty ones, they're renewed every year, correct? For the sports? Is that every year? It's not a permanent?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes, those are non-renewed every year, and then they're reposted and hired every year. Is that
Correct.
what your question was?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I
Brian,
just had,
is that what
yeah.
your question was? Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Violi?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Question, revision problem here, but this says $102.25 per hour. Should that not be maybe per day?
It's per day.
Good catch.
Wow, you do that for 102 per hour.
Yeah, it's
Well,
102
the one
per hour.
above, don't change the one above that, though.
There's 3 of them there, there's 6.
Yeah, the certified subs on there.
Yep.
If you could fix that.
Yep, I will.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Please call the roll.
And this would be as amended per, at the per hour,
Right.
except for the certified. Okay. Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mr. Violi?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
Yes,
Motion carried. Moving on to, now we're going to skip number 5 and move to number 6, treasurer's recommendations.
Yes. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the revised purpose and budget statements for the middle school choir and high school choir and WSTB, as shown in those attachments.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
yes,
Mr. Violi?
Yes, motion carried.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve tax rates for the amounts for fiscal year 2023 as submitted by the Portage County Budget Commission.
So move.
Motion to
Second.
approve? Or second?
Second.
Second?
We have a first and a second.
This,
Comments?
this is simply, I mean, we are, can't believe I'm saying this, we're sitting here in March and I'm preparing for next fiscal year. And this is just part of the process. I have to submit, we meet once a month and I submit, it has to be submitted back to Portage County for you guys, your approval by April 1st. So,
Please call the roll.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
yes,
Mr. Violi?
Yes, motion carried.
It is recommended the Board of Education approve the amended appropriations for fiscal year '22, and estimated resources will be adjusted as needed for permanent appropriations.
Motion.
Second?
We have a first and a second. Comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
yes,
Mr. Violi?
Yes, motion carried. Moving on to Chief Business Officer's recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Violi. I have several. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the contract and resolution using the Ohio School Council's design and build HVAC solution with Gardner for Henry Deffert Intermediate Schools control upgrade for up to $160,000 from permanent improvement funds.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. 2, 3. Comments?
The only comment is that there is contingencies built into that. That's why I asked for that amount, because we don't know what we don't know until we know. So instead of having to come back for more approval, this should hopefully take care of everything.
I'm sure you'll keep us up to date.
I will do that.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
yes,
Mr. Violi?
Yes, motion carried.
Okay, my second recommendation, it is recommended the Board of Education approve the contract with Bernard's Heating and Cooling to install a new HVAC system at the office of the Board of Education for up to $32,000 using permanent improvement funds.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Comments or questions?
Contingencies built into that number. Also, we may have a different resource of funding instead of just PI funds. Kyle and I are working that out, but we will keep you in the loop as we move forward with that.
In addition to this, it's also a perfect example of one that you just approved for DEFR was through the Ohio Schools Council, and because there was a lot of money, but we utilized the Ohio Schools Council, so we're not getting quotes after quotes after quotes because they've negotiated on our behalf and their members' behalves. And then the one that you would be voting on now, because it's less than $50,000, we have received all those quotes and picked the most reasonable and most likely the best price, as Mr. Scarsapino said. So it's a pretty good dichotomy of that process of bidding and contracts.
Anything else?
Kyle said it perfectly.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Violi?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
Yes.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Motion carried. Moving on.
Okay, my next recommendation, it is recommended the Board of Education approve the Safe Routes to School resolution as attached.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a first and a second.
No comment.
We had a presentation. Please call the roll.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
Yes.
Mr. Violi?
Yes, motion carried.
My next recommendation, it is recommended the Board of Education approve the proposal from Turfscape with regards to the baseball and softball fields as shown in the attachment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Comments?
I know the coaches appreciate it.
I'd say when we get the contract signed, we can have them stick to that, because I heard fertilizer is going to be going up tremendously, so it's good to have it on a contract.
Yeah.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Violi?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
Yes.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And my last recommendation this evening, it is recommended the Board of Education approve the service contract with Interfinish for the refinishing of the high school and middle school gymnasiums as quoted.
Motion.
Second?
We have a first and a second. Comments?
No comment.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
Yes.
Mr. Violi?
Yes, motion carried.
That concludes my recommendations, Mr. Violi.
Thank you, Mr. Scarsapino. Moving on, do we have any new business? Hearing none. Old business, we covered that for my part. Anybody else? Hearing none. And Board President's recommendations. Item A is recommended the Board of Education approve the following revisions to board policies. And it's 7.08. It's achievement testing policies.
Motion to approve?
So I'll second. We have a first and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mr. Violi?
Yes,
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
Yes.
motion carried. Moving on to item B, executive session. Is recommended the Board of Education enter into executive session to consider the employment of a public employee or official, the discipline of a public employee or official, and to consider matters to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statute.
Motion.
Second?
We have a first and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mr. Fulton?
Yes.
Mr. Violi?
Yes, motion carried. We're in executive session at 6:44 PM.
That's nice.
Yeah, but I'm having trouble seeing. There, it's right here. Well, it's because it's like